The Rhine River, the restless frontier of the Roman Empire. For more than 4 centuries, it marked the edge of civilization, the line between Roman order and barbarian wilderness. Here, on mist-covered banks and in the shadow of the forests, stood Rome's defenders, the legions of Germania Inferior, and among them, the men who commanded discipline, courage, and fear, the centurions. This is a day in the life of one such man, a Roman centurion defending the Rhine, circa 90 AD, during the reign of Emperor Domitian. The centurion rises before the sun. His quarters are modest, a single room beside the Principia, the fort's headquarters. The chill air of the Rhine frontier seeps through the wooden shutters. Outside, the river's mist drifts over the ramparts like breath from another world. He dresses carefully, a wool tunic, a worn but polished cuirass of segmented iron, his crimson cloak, the mark of his rank. Over his heart, the harness that holds his vine staff, the short stick he carries to enforce discipline. He steps outside into the gray dawn. Around him, the castrum, the Roman fort, comes alive. Bugles sound from the watchtowers. Auxiliaries from Gaul and Batavia emerge from barracks, fastening armor and tightening sandals. The smell of bread and smoke fills the cold air. As commander of his century, roughly 80 men, the centurion's first duty is inspection. He moves through the ranks as soldiers line up in the courtyard, their armor glinting faintly in the pale light. Each man stands silent, eyes forward. He checks their equipment, shields intact, pila straight, gladi sharpened. Every buckle, every strap, every edge must be ready. On the frontier, neglect kills faster than swords. When the inspection ends, the optio, his second in command, reports the night's events. A patrol spotted smoke beyond the river. Barbarian movement, perhaps. The centurion nods but gives no order yet. Caution is the rule here. The Rhine is wide, but not wide enough to silence fear. As the sun climbs above the forest, the drills begin. Every Roman soldier, from raw recruit to veteran, trains daily. It is what keeps the empire alive. The centurion oversees the exercise ground, where the men form ranks on the frozen earth. Commands cut through the cold. Ad signa, testudo, gladi parati. The soldiers move as one, shields interlocking, formations turning in perfect rhythm. The sound of wood striking wood echoes across the valley as they practice sword work with heavy wooden blades, twice the weight of the real gladius. The centurion watches closely. He shouts corrections, his voice carrying above the din. If a man falters, the vine staff snaps across his shield, a sharp reminder that Roman discipline has no room for hesitation. Yet there is pride in his tone, not cruelty. These men are his responsibility, his familia. Their lives depend on his leadership, and his honor rests on their strength. After an hour, the drills shift to spear throwing. The pila arc through the air in perfect synchrony, landing in a neat line of thuds. Even after decades of service, the centurion feels a quiet satisfaction at the precision of it, the machine of Rome still working flawlessly at the edge of the world. By mid-morning, the centurion leads a small detachment beyond the fort's gate. 10 soldiers, 2 scouts, and 1 translator from a local tribe. The road ahead cuts through fields of frost and into the misty woods that line the river. Here, the empire ends. Beyond the Rhine lies Germania Magna, untamed, unconquered, and always watching. The patrol moves in silence. Only the crunch of boots on frozen soil breaks the stillness. They follow a narrow track along the riverbank, scanning for signs of crossing. Broken branches, footprints in the mud, smoke from distant fires. For centuries, the Rhine has been both shield and scar. It protects Rome from invasion. But it also reminds every soldier that danger is never far. The tribes across the water, the Cherushi, the Chatti, the Bructeri, still remember Varus and the lost legions. They wait, patient as wolves. The centurion pauses on a rise overlooking the river. The current moves slowly, reflecting the pale winter sun. He thinks of the men who stood here before him and the men who will follow. Generations of soldiers guarding the same cold frontier, bound by the same duty. The patrol finds a small encampment, long abandoned, likely traders or hunters. Still, the Centurion orders a report written. Every detail matters. Information is as valuable as iron in the defense of empire. They return by midday. The fort hums with routine. Smiths hammering metal in the workshops, cooks preparing rations, scribes recording supplies. At the center, the Principia stands, the administrative heart of the garrison. Here, under a vaulted wooden roof, the standards of the legion rest, the eagle, the cohort insignia, and the bust of the emperor himself. The centurion kneels briefly before them, offering a silent salute. Loyalty to the emperor is not mere ceremony. It is the spine of Roman order. Afterward, he meets with the tribune, a young officer of noble birth. Together, they review reports from other forts along the Rhine line, small raids, intercepted messengers, rumors of tribal gatherings deep in the forest. For now, the frontier holds. But the centurion has seen enough winters here to know the calm never lasts forever. Lunch is taken quickly: bread, cheese, olives, and watered wine. Then he inspects the walls. Each tower, each gate, each watchpost must be manned and maintained. The Rhine's peace depends on vigilance. Afternoons are for order. Punishments are carried out for dereliction of duty or theft. Promotions announced for acts of valor. The centurion presides over both, his vine staff a symbol of authority, but also of justice. Later, he oversees the construction of a new watchtower along the riverbank. The army is not only a fighting force, it is also a workforce. Roads, walls, bridges. These are as much weapons of empire as swords and spears. Each timber lifted, each stone set, extends the reach of Roman control. When the work ends, the men bathe in the thermae, the small bathhouse near the southern gate. Steam rises into the cold air. For a brief time, the soldiers laugh, relax, remember that they are men and not just instruments of empire. The centurion joins them briefly, exchanging few words but many nods. Respect is his language. As dusk falls, the Rhine glows copper beneath the setting sun. Trumpets sound the signal for the watch change. Torches flicker along the walls, their light mirrored in the dark water below. The centurion walks the ramparts one last time. He stops beside a sentry, a young recruit from Hispania, staring across the river. The boy admits he misses home. The centurion says nothing for a moment, then simply replies, "Rome is home, wherever we stand." It is both comfort and command. Below, the forest shifts in the wind. The night birds cry, and the river murmurs softly, eternal, unbroken. The centurion knows that if an alarm were to sound, every man in this fort would move before thought. That is what Rome trains into its soldiers: instinct, order, unity. He returns to his quarters. His armor is hung, his sword oiled. At his desk, he writes a brief report for the tribune. All quiet along the river, patrols complete, discipline maintained. The same words written by countless centurions before him. The same words that hold the empire together. When the fort grows silent, the centurion sits by a small lamp. He thinks of Rome, of marble streets, of voices echoing through the forum, of temples shining beneath southern skies. It feels a world away. Yet he also knows this truth. Without the frontier, Rome would fall. Without the men who guard it, the eternal city would not sleep so peacefully. He blows out the lamp and lies down. Outside, the Rhine whispers against the banks. Across it, the forests stretch into darkness. And there, in the stillness, a Roman centurion dreams not of glory or conquest, but of another dawn, another inspection, another day holding the line between empire and oblivion. Because that is his duty. That is Rome. For centuries, men like him stood watch on the Rhine. They built roads, forts, and bridges, and with them, the illusion that Rome's borders were eternal. But history teaches otherwise. The Rhine would one day overflow its banks, not with water, but with the tribes it held back for so long. And when that day came, even the might of Rome could not stop the tide. Yet the legacy of those who stood here endures, carved in stone, buried in river mud, whispered in the ruins that still line the old frontier. Their discipline, their faith, their unyielding order, these were the true walls of Rome.